Welcome to the National Women's Fitness Academy podcast. We're here to talk about women's health, female hormones, body image, and all things health and fitness.
Hello girls, and welcome back to another episode of the Women's Fitness Academy's podcast. I'm your host, Siggy, one of the WFA's educators and a women's body image and fitness coach. Today, I'm joined by the lovely Charly Jane, who's a IFBB bikini model who actually just placed second in her show on the weekend. And she's a massive mental health advocate. And she's joining me today because we're going to be chatting all about how fitness and mental health are really big parts of Charly's life, and we're gonna break it down what it's like to be looked at as upon a strong woman who actually needs some, mental health and some loving as a woman as well, and making sure that it is okay for you to not be okay in certain times and how to navigate through all of that. So, Charly, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited, a little bit nervous. It's my first podcast.
So I can't remember who else was on here, but there was their first podcast as well. And I have a saying that I've popped your cherry today.
Okay.
And many people have laughed about it. And many people were like, oh, this is a little bit weird, but you know what? It's true.
It's I wouldn't want anyone else to.
Perfect. I feel so honored. So let's dive straight into it. What made you become such a big mental health advocate?
I guess truthfully, I've probably struggled with mental health my whole life. My upbringing, my childhood, I've definitely been through quite a lot. But it took me to be in quite a toxic relationship and to fully lose everything and break down to realize that I hit rock bottom and I needed help. And if I didn't get that help, then I wouldn't be here today. And I think building myself up from that point and just realizing how many people do struggle, that, it's become such an important part of my life, because if I can help someone, even just by chatting or, sharing my experience, if I can help one person, then that for me is absolutely everything, because I know how hard it is to be at that point. But it took me a breaking point to actually realize I needed help. And it's sad that I actually had to get there before I seeked help. And hopefully people do reach out before they get to that point.
It's so common because too often, and I'm really glad that you've opened up about it, because I've been at a breaking point where you're literally just down in that rabbit hole, and it's dark, it's dusty, it's gloomy, and you're like, how did I get myself to this position? But yet those darker moments are our biggest lessons, and from there we're able to just move past it and reach towards help or reach to certain people and chat to them. But during that hard time where you were in that dark hole, what made you come out of it? Because I know a lot of people struggle to come out of that that depressing state.
I mean, look, it's still I definitely still have days life is a roller coaster and things are always going to challenge you. And my life definitely has challenged me. And it's not like I can sit here and say I don't have any mental health issues, because I still do. And I still work on them actively every single day. But I think the biggest thing was my relationship with my younger brother. I got to a point he didn't know what to do. I was so in such a hole and such a broken human. And I remember sitting on the floor at the gym just breaking down to him and crying, and he just looked at me and held me, and he's we need to fix this. He's you can't keep doing this. And I went to the doctor and got a mental health plan. And yeah, went from there. And it was a big roller coaster. But I guess taking steps to get help. I was suicidal. So when I say breaking point, it was very breaking point. And I guess looking back, like I lost the love of my life 9 years ago in a car accident. And I promised when he passed away that I would live every single day because he couldn't, and do all the things and take life by the balls, literally, and live it to the fullest. And I think there was a point there that I was at my lowest, and I remembered, and I was like, what are you doing? Like, girl, get help. Like, go get help, because you know what? You live once. Once you are gone, you are gone. Like, you know, you don't want to be depressed. Like, I'm a happy, bubbly person. Yeah. Like I love life. And for me to get to that point and like want to die, like it's horrible. Like it's horrible. And seeing my brother look at me, like I didn't want to let him down. He's my little brother. Like, you know, like, yeah, I guess letting Nathan down, like my ex who passed away, and then letting my brother down, like for me, it's just not something that I want to do. And like rationally, like thinking, you know, I love life. You know, your emotions take over and you want to die and you hate life and you're so depressed, but like thinking logically, like trying to think logically instead of emotionally, life's amazing. Like you want to live it. I'm young. Like I've got so much life to live. Like it's precious. So I guess, yeah, getting to that point, and then it was like a snap moment. I was like, oh no, get help, because you need to be here. Like you need to be alive. Like, yeah.
Wow. I'm just going to take a moment because I'm feeling into this so much. I honestly was not expecting to have this vulnerable, open conversation with you today. And I think our listeners probably weren't expecting to hear all of this. And too often, as you know, before we started recording, we said that a lot of people see us as the strong women. And when people look up to strong women, they think they have all their shit together. But it just shows you that even though we're perceived really strong, sometimes in some moments we don't have a shit together. And hence, after the passing of you know, your partner at the time, like that would have shocked your life to a complete 360.
I think I was like 20 years old then. And yeah, I mean, I didn't have my license then. I worked for a company. Losing him, like I went and got my license the day before his birthday, like, and went and sat at his, like where he passed away, and like spoke to him for a bit and was like, made you proud, got my license. Like I opened my business 6 months later. I traveled overseas. Like losing him, like the biggest loss of my life. But in losing him, like I made a promise that I would live and I would do all the things. Like, yeah, I don't know, like losing him shocked me into being better and doing the best I could. And sometimes our darkest moments can bring the best out, you know, and the positive, not positive, it's the wrong way to word it, but you know, the light in losing him was that I always have him with me, and he is always my driving force to live. Yeah.
I love that. It's very inspiring because, as you mentioned before, you know, when you were stuck in that dark hole, you just didn't know how to navigate life during that time. When did you find that lightness for you to actually go and have that drive to, you know, travel and work and, you know, get your license?
So, I mean, that was 9 years ago. That was, I think I had a really good support network around me. I had started, like my dad and my brother are amazing. And I'd started seeing an ex from years ago. He was beautiful. I was with him for 5 years, and he was a great support. He's a great bloke. we just have different lives now. But yeah, he was great the whole time we were together, and at that moment too, like he kind of helped me navigate life a little bit too, and gave me a bit of support and a bit of love, and was a bit gentle with me. So being so young too, just like having in Port Stephens, everyone's like quite close knit, so just having a good community to help you through tough times like that was really important. But in saying that, that wasn't my breaking point with my mental health either. Like it got real dark after that, years later. Yeah.
What happened years later when you did hit that dark point of life?
So I fell in love with a guy, and I had my business. COVID hit, and he lost his job and he moved to another state. And I decided I would follow him, and we just weren't in a good place. I don't like to speak bad of people. He wasn't probably the best partner, I guess, in terms maybe just us together wasn't a good mix. We were a bit like toxic, I think. And I sold my business that I built from losing my ex in a car accident. I sold that, which was a big choice because I had that business for 6 years. So most of my early 20s, I had a hair salon, very successful. One of my biggest accomplishments. It was my baby, my first baby. And yeah, selling that, I guess, and then it all falling through. Like I sold that. I got rid of my place I was living. I was necessarily homeless, basically. He broke up with me. I was living with my best friend, sleeping in my godson's bed. Like just my life had crumbled. Every little piece of my life had crumbled. And I was broken. I hated myself. I felt like a failure because I hadn't been known in this small town to have a business and be successful and be stable, and all of that was gone. And I was just a nobody who didn't have a business, didn't have anywhere to live, like was a complete mess. I struggled. I couldn't get out of bed. I was, to be perfectly honest, I'll be honest, I was self-harming. I just hated myself. I have can't speak. I have spent my life trying to be what my mother isn't, and that's a very strong, driven, working woman who is stable, and losing that, I just lost myself. I just had so much self-hatred. I couldn't be kind or loving to myself or understanding for what I'd been through in a toxic relationship. I just had self-hate, and that drove me down. Instead of being compassionate and caring for myself in a time that I needed me to be gentle with me, I was self-hating. So
where do you think the self-hate came? Because from my experience of being in abusive relationship, I felt a lot of shame from coming out of it, not thinking that I was good enough for anyone else that was going to come along, or thinking that I was the problem. But we know there's always two sides to every story. So yeah, like where did those feelings come from?
I think like obviously not feeling good enough. I have abandonment issues from my childhood. I guess that's probably a deep-seated issue again. Like, as I said, my mental health, like from my childhood and just things in the past, I definitely needed help probably before I got to this point. And because of that, I probably wasn't the best partner also, and I've done a lot of work so I can be a better partner, and, a better parent for my future children. But I think just that self-hatred from not feeling good enough and feeling like I was a mess and a failure. Like the biggest thing, I felt like a failure. Like I failed. Like I had a successful business. I had everything and I've lost it all and I'm a failure. Like, and I was like, I have this driving force inside me. Like, I want to be better. I want to do better. I want to, be this strong, independent woman. And I feel like I lost all that. It sucked.
Yeah, it definitely does. Losing that independence after being in a relationship and, like you said, like having a successful business, and then all of a sudden everything just like vanishes. It's just like, whoa, like how do I start all over again? And I guess this is where like all those limiting beliefs come in as well, going, well, it's all gone. And it's just like, well, I don't want to start again. And like, how do I move myself from the situation?
Yeah. And I'm a creature of habit. Like if someone wanted to kidnap me, they could. Like I am up in the morning, I'm at the gym, like I'm walking, like where I'm at. I'm a stiff. So like losing that, I'm like, shit, what do I do now? I'm like, I'm not working, like I don't have a job. And then COVID, I'm like sick. So yeah, right. Who's Charly? She's not I'm not just a hairdresser. Like when I was just a hairdresser, so I'm like, who am I? Like, what do I do? Like I hadn't worked for anyone since I was like 21. Like, how do I have a boss? How do I write a resume? I don't know. It was, yeah.
What was the first step out of, like coming out of that hole?
So I lived with my best friend and her little man, her son, Valentine. I was with him every day, and I look at him like his life. And if it wasn't for him, I definitely wouldn't be here. Like having him around every day, like I would go for a walk, I'd come in the house and he would just scream and run and hug me. Like, so being with them, like my girlfriend Beck and her partner Mitch, like they had me at their house for quite a while, until I got back on my feet. So having them was, I think, the start of everything. Yeah.
You're making me cry.
Sorry.
Wow. I love that. It's truly inspiring to see how so many of us go through certain aspects of our lives where we literally, crumble, hit rock bottom, though we do end up finding the light from every situation. And I do believe, as cliche as it sounds, I don't want to say failure because we never fucking fail, but every incident or situation that we come across, there's always a lesson from it. And we always end up being able to find a reason for us to continue doing the stuff that we want to be doing. And for yourself, it was, your godson.
Yeah. I mean, he was like, yeah, he's just the cutest little, yeah, so cute. So cute.
So because he inspired you, like what was the first thing for you to do? Like, did you go and get a new job or did you start?
So I was there for a while and then I ended up getting a place in Port Stephens. So I rented a room with a girlfriend, and then I was doing like mobile hairdressing. So I had a lot of clients in the area still. So I was just doing a bit of mobile hair. And then I had a rep for my hair color and stuff. She's a really good friend. She actually got me a job interview and I got a job in Newcastle working. So I started working as a hairdresser again. So I had my first boss in years, which was cool. And then I worked there for about 6 to 7 months, and then COVID hit. So back out of a job again. Which just, I was like, sick. great.
You're like, what do I do now?
Yeah. Like, I can't do this. It's so boring. Lots of tanning. So I went and rented a room, and then got myself a job and slowly kind of migrated back into normal life.
Getting to the routine. Yeah,
getting a new routine. But I started seeing an amazing psychologist, really, really amazing, at Heal for Life in Broadmeadow in Newcastle. She's a trauma psychologist, and I honestly have to say, hands down, if I did not have her in my corner, I probably still would be in that toxic cycle that I was in.
Let's talk about that, because I think too often people don't want to ask for help, and then they end up in a really vulnerable situation where they just don't know how to navigate their own thoughts because they don't have anyone to lean on. And thankfully for yourself, you had that support with your family, but we know there's many people out there who just don't have that support. So, and I'm a big advocate for therapy. Like, I seriously fucking love my therapist. I remember when I first had a lot of mental issues after the abusive relationship, I was seeing them on like a weekly basis, where now it's just like
sometimes twice a week.
I
was like, I need you right now.
It's so I'm really glad that we're opening up about this, because we need to pull away from feeling as if there's something wrong with us by having to see a therapist. It's just like, they're a therapist for a reason. That's their job. Their job is there to help. It's like you're a hairdresser because you want to make women feel good by having beautiful hair. And I'm a coach by helping women have better bodies and, feeling fitter. It's just like we all have different obligations as professionals. So we really need to be understanding that therapy is therapeutic.
Therapy is amazing. Like, there are so many other steps you can do as well. But when I was young and I saw a therapist, like a psychologist, I was like, I'm not going. I don't need to talk to you. Like, I had this badass attitude. I was like, I don't need to talk to you. Like, which is probably why I got to a point that I needed really bad help, because I was so adamant that I didn't need help. And I definitely did. And now I talk about it all the time. I'm like, I want to see my psychologist. Like, so proud. Like, it's great. I feel like everyone should definitely check in and see a psychologist, whether you think you've got mental health or not, because life is tough, especially everyone going through COVID, like getting through that in itself, like just life in general is really hard. And I think it's getting harder, to process things. And I feel like talking about your emotions and your feelings with a professional who can help navigate that is really important. It can change your whole life.
What's one thing that has helped you change your life by seeing a therapist?
Controlling my anger. Definitely controlling my anger. So just, I guess, growing up how I did, I had a lot of anger issues, and I have a snappy temperament sometimes, and realizing just how to control that has been a massive thing. And just learning about myself too. Like, I am no saint. Like, I definitely, there are things that I've done in my life that I'm not proud of. Like, I have had so many flaws in me as a being, and just being able to pull myself up on those flaws, I guess, and working through them, and just getting to know myself better, and learning about psychology in general, making you more understanding towards others too, and everyone else's mental health, and why people might respond in a certain way, just to help you navigate people in general better, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And you know what? It's also us being able to navigate ourselves, because as you mentioned, by you had, a angry temper back then. It's just like, okay, well, we know we were a little bit fiery back then. Like, how can we navigate it right now, but not letting it bite us back in the ass? Because again, we can't just walk around life biting at everyone and, you know, projecting and stuff, because obviously it's not going to help.
And there are so many times, like, I was an asshole. Like, I look back and I say to my dad all the time, like, I don't know how you put up with me. Like, and my exes too, I'm like, how? Like, I was such a dick. Like, for no reason, just because I'm moody and an asshole and I didn't know how to communicate how I was feeling. So I just snapped instead of going, well, I don't really like that. I'd be like, what the fuck are you doing? You know?
Yeah, I can so relate to that.
Instead of being calm and just being like, you know, that doesn't align with how I, like, what I see. I'm not happy with that. Like, I don't agree. It was like, what the fuck? Like, I'm mad. But
that very reactive response.
Yeah, and reacting straight away instead of taking a breath, thinking, and working through it.
Yeah. And you know what? Like, there's a saying that what you don't know, you don't know. And back then, obviously, we just didn't know how to navigate our feelings. And right now, we do have the tools in our toolbox, especially having therapists by our side, being able to help us navigate these feelings. So, you know, I'm sure you're not as angry as you were back then.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. A lot calmer, which is good.
Yeah, well, you know what? Like, we learn from our experiences as well. Like, our experiences are big teachers.
Oh, definitely. Like, you grow through what you go through. And I'm also 29. Like, I feel like as you get older, I don't know, I was like, I'm so scared about getting old, and I'm kind of scared about turning 30. I'm like, I'm old. I don't have my shit together. I should have a house and I should be married and I should have 10 kids and like, yeah, no.
I'm just gonna ease your mind right now, because I'm 34 and I don't have a house and I don't have kids. So
that's so good.
You're good, okay? And it's really funny, because I remember when I turned 30 as well, I was just like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to have babies now. I need to buy a house. And dude, I am 34 and I'm living my best fucking life. So yeah.
I know, it's like stressing. I mean, getting older, like, it's good because in a way you understand yourself more, you understand people more. Yeah, I don't know. They're great points about getting older. Like, it's nice. It's nice knowing yourself and having a better relationship with yourself as you get older, I think.
100%. And you know, it does happen with age, because as kids we don't get taught enough how to communicate our feelings.
No, not at all. I think we get taught a lot to kind of push our feelings away. Yeah, I can so relate to that. And while we're on the topic of that, because this has a lot to do with us being women as well, of course, like, we can't speak on behalf of men, but we can speak on behalf of us being women, a very strong, independent, you know, in working places. And we mentioned this before we started recording, how sometimes it can feel quite lonely for us by people saying that you're strong, you'll be okay. Like, things are fine for you. Oh, the amount of times I've been told, you're strong, you'll be right, you'll get through it. I'm like, yep, okay. You swallow it down. You're having a really bad day, like, I'm not okay. You're strong, you're right, you'll be okay, keep pushing. And you take a breath and you swallow it down. And there's only so many times you can swallow that down until it gets to a point, it's up here and you're vomiting that back out and you are not okay. And it's like, you know, I've had to be strong my whole life. I've had to grin and bear a lot, and just brush it off like it's fine. And learning to do that from a young age as a kid, you know, I can smile and act like everything's fine, go into my bedroom and completely explode, because you learn, like, you have to be strong in front of everybody else. And that's not healthy, and that's not okay. And I feel like we definitely need to be more mindful that strong people do break, your happy friends, they mightn't be happy. And to check in on people, even your strong friends, because it's okay to not be okay. And you should never go, you're strong, you'll get through. Like, I hate that. I hate that. Don't you tell me that I'm strong and I'm going to get through, because you don't know that. Like, you don't know. Like, sometimes that strong person just needs to go, come here, it's okay. Do you need a breakdown? I got you. Like, to have somebody just embrace you and give you love and that tender care and just say, it's okay to not be okay. You don't have to be strong. Like, to tell someone who's strong, to just say to them, it's okay. You don't have to be strong. Like, you're okay. You can break. You're all right. It's okay. It's safe. It's safe for you to like let go. That is more comforting than telling someone that they're strong and they're going to get through. Because sometimes you're not strong. Sometimes you're not going to get through. Like, sometimes you need a break. Sometimes you need a safe place to break to. Like, yeah. So anyone that says you're strong, you're going to get through, please stop saying that. Like, just hear your strong friend out and let them be vulnerable with you, because they're reaching out for a reason, because they're not strong and they need support. I think that's the biggest thing I can say. If somebody is coming to you because they are not okay, don't say you're strong and you'll get through. Just say, it's okay. I'm here for you.
I also think it's very important for our listeners to understand, or who anyone is watching this as well, is that not every strong woman will reach out to you. And this is because of our experiences of, like you said, that we get told that we're strong, so you'll be okay. Because there's been, to be honest, like, I'm just, being vulnerable as fuck right now, but there's been many times where people would be like, oh, cool, like, how's your day going? How are you? And I'd be like, yeah, I'm fine. But deep inside, I wasn't fine. And that stems from me not being open. That stems from past experiences of people going, don't share your sorrows. No one wants to hear it. Be strong, get on with it, and so forth.
Push it down.
Yes, yeah. And you know what? It takes a lot of courage to actually open up and be vulnerable. And I'm sure you can relate to this, Charly, as well, but from years of, personal development, seeing therapists and doing the work, you're slowly shedding those, onion layers off and being able to open up, being able to be like, hey, actually, I'm not okay. Like, do you have the space right now to hear me out? And if they say yes, awesome, fucking go all out. But if they don't, it's just like, cool, that's fine as well. But making sure that you find, the professional help or someone else who can, as you said, hold you and comfort you during that hard time.
Oh, most definitely. It is hard. Like, even when I did break down, I broke down to a point that I couldn't speak. And you could tell that I wasn't okay. There was no hiding it. So I think I was forced into that, because I got to a point that I didn't tell anyone for so long, and then I just cracked, and that cracked everywhere. So no one would ask me if I was okay, because you could see I was 100% not okay. So I would guess I was forced into that. I didn't really have a choice at all, because one moment I was okay, and the next I was in the corner, literally shivering on the floor, crying uncontrollably, couldn't speak. So I guess I was forced into that, which sucks.
Yeah, it does. It seriously does, because, as you mentioned, like, times when you're not okay, the only thing that you're wanting is for someone to just hold you, be there, and, support you during that time, and not necessarily giving you advice and be like, come on, like, the motivating ways of people going about it. It's just like, no, sometimes you literally just need to hear someone out and just see what's up. There's no need to give them advice if they do not have the capacity to take advice from you.
Most definitely. Sometimes, sometimes you just need to word vomit or just cry.
Yeah.
And just have someone be like, I'm here with you. Like, just, it's okay, let go. Because yeah, sometimes when they're like tough love.
Yeah, that doesn't work, guys. Don't ever do it.
No.
Yeah, learn from my experiences.
Yeah. Don't want that tough love.
Oh, definitely not. And you know what? Like, help is definitely available. And like Charlie and I mentioned, like, you know, if you don't have that close network right now, there are many hotlines around Australia that someone will be able to speak with you, and they are available pretty much 24 hours.
Definitely. And I mean, sometimes it's hard to speak to your nearest and dearest because it might be an issue that is going on with your close friend group, family. So your safe people might necessarily be safe. So sometimes talking to a complete stranger is easier. Talking to a psychologist is easier. God, message me on Instagram. I would much rather listen to you or message you. I 90% of the time have my phone on me. I sometimes am shit at going through my messages, but if I see it, I will reply straight away because I would rather listen than you have no one. Because it's the worst feeling when you feel like you're alone or feel like you can't talk.
And you know what? We've been there, so we know what it's like. And we've also shown you girls that the help is out there, and once you do find the right help, you know, you'll be able to navigate through life so much easier and so much better as well.
Oh, definitely. And you know, as I said, life is a roller coaster. Like, you have your peaks, you have your lows. Like, that's what it's about. Life is not baseline. A heartbeat is not baseline. A heartbeat is up and down. That's life. Life is like a heartbeat. You have your highs and you have your lows, and if you don't know how to handle your lows, like, it's scary. It's really scary. So I don't know, my advice for everyone would be to, you know, look after your mental health, exercise, eat well, drink lots of water, meditate, journal, read, see a psychologist. Even if you don't think you need to, see one. Definitely see one. And be open and honest with your friends and your family too. Like, have open conversations. Make it easier to talk to.
Yeah. I've found that once you start being honest with yourself, you're able to be honest with other people as well.
Most definitely.
I love that. And I love the fact that you also mentioned that life has its ups and downs, which is true because we're all here wanting to find this balance, this consistency, but people don't realize like life is never going to be balanced at a perfect line. It's always going to have its, you know, ups and downs. But like you said, it's us navigating how we're going to handle our lows to be able to handle our ups as well. Because I don't know about you, Charlie, but I found from my experience and also like working with clients, when we can't navigate our lows, how are we going to be able to navigate our highs?
No, exactly. I mean, I'm on a bit of a high right now.
Yeah, you are. So for those who don't remember, I literally just mentioned that Charlie second placed in her bikini comp. So she's in a very high.
Yes, I'm in a high. And I got to eat food last night. So I'm fueled.
For those who diet, know what it feels like.
Yes. Definitely. But yeah, it's really important to learn how to handle your lows so you can handle your highs. But just so you can handle life.
Yeah, 100%. And just being open with you not being okay and steering away from this idea that you have to handle everything on your own, because again, that comes from like that really like true, strong, independent, toxic woman, you know, reality that people you know, saying that you have to be, but in reality you can be strong, you can be independent, but you can also fucking cry to your friends or scream into a pillow knowing that you're not okay and you can get through it.
Yeah, that's it. That's definitely it.
I love that. Oh my God. Today's chat was amazing, Charlie. Thank you so much.
Sorry, so much word vomit. I'm like,
so much word vomit. But you know what? I know our listeners are going to take a lot away from today because you know what? I think we've literally just opened a can of worms because many people don't speak enough about this. And I know from today's chat, a lot of people are going to be open enough to, whether it's dabbling into therapy or reaching out to their friends or their family or just finding some form of support or even a helpline to be able to, speak with someone and navigate their feelings.
I really hope so, because mental health is like so important. And I mean, I'm always quite open and honest on my social media about my mental health journey and about mental health in general. I go to the Better Today seminars, which are seminars held around Newcastle, and I find them really helpful. But yeah, I don't know, I feel like always working on your mental health just as much as your physical health, because you can't see mental health, but it is just as important, if not more important, than your physical health. And I think we forget that. We're so focused on the exterior, but what about your interior? What's going on in your head and your heart? Those are so important, because if you're not looking after that, then what is your physical being? You're nothing without your mental health.
Yeah, what's the point of doing all the other work if you're not taking care of what's happening inside?
Yeah, exactly. That's definitely it.
I love that. That is like the message, the big message that has to come across to everyone today. Like, if you're not taking care of what's happening inside, like, what's the point of you taking care of what's on the exterior?
Exactly. Definitely. Brain food just as much as food for your gut.
Yeah. Love that. So true. Charly, before we head off, where can our listeners find you?
So I am on Instagram. It's Charly Girl. That's basically it. I have TikTok, don't really use it.
I don't think many of us do these days.
I'm pretty sure I'm too old. I think it's like the teenage age.
Yeah, it's the youngsters.
I try, but I'm shit.
It's the dance moves that get me.
I can't. Hey, I tried in lockdown. Oh my God, I tried. I looked at it and I was like, I can't believe that. You look like an idiot.
Yeah, they're very talented, that generation.
Yeah, I'm too weird and goofy for that.
We'll stick to Instagram instead.
Yeah, definitely.
I love that. Well, girls, if you enjoyed today's podcast, please make sure that you tag us at the Women's Fitness Academy, tag Charly, tag myself, and then till next time, take care of your mental health and reach out to your friends for, love and support.
That's it. Thank you so much for having me on today. It was really nice.